Spoiler alert! I will talk about important events of the most recent Dragon Ball Super episodes, all of Dragon Ball Z and the movies. If you're not up to date and plan on watching them, you've been warned. I love me some Dragon Ball FighterZ. It's pure fan service to anyone who grew up with Dragon Ball Z, but it also manages to use the fan service in a clever way to make a well-balanced, skill-based, competitive fighting game. Team building, complex combos, fast thinking and reflexes are the keys to winning battles. Unlike some fighting games, Dragon Ball FighterZ is a lot more accessible to people who don't usually play 2D fighting games. With easy-to-perform special moves, auto combos, and plenty of tutorials to help you understand the basics, FighterZ is a perfect example of easy to learn, hard to master. While I'm just a humble, casual player that wouldn't dare to join professional tournaments, I enjoy playing this game on a weekly basis. With a character roster that keeps expanding, I think it's time to look at potential newcomers. Mainly, which new characters would make me the happiest? Whether they are alternative forms of characters that are already on the roster, movie characters, recently introduced characters, fusion or other characters, these are fighters I consider to be welcome to join the roster. You know the drill, this is an opinion-based list, not basing it on which characters are most requested by the community overall. I'd love to hear what characters you would want to see. Let's not waste any more time and start the list. Number 10. RADITZ. In terms of power level, RADITZ is probably the weakest compared to all the characters in the game. He doesn't have many memorable attacks and he doesn't show up for all that long in the show either. But in terms of story, he's an important staple in the Dragon Ball lore. It's the first enemy to appear in Dragon Ball Z and, at the time, he greatly overpowered Goku and Piccolo. He's the character that teaches Goku about his past, the Saiyan race, and he's even related to Goku. RADITZ is basically what Goku would have become if he didn't bump his head as a kid and therefore stayed evil. But that's not all. He was the reason Piccolo joined the good side, and he was responsible for Goku's sacrifice. This made him a crucial part of the series in terms of story, and it turned out RADITZ was just a small taste of the horror that was yet to come. It was an intense way to start off, and it greatly set the tone for the rest of the series. Therefore, I think RADITZ deserves a spot on the roster. Number 9. Kid Gohan. With multiple forms of characters showing up as different playable characters in the game, I don't think the kid version of Gohan is a strange idea. I like all forms of Goku and Vegeta, and I wouldn't mind seeing more characters getting a similar treatment. Gohan sure made an interesting growth throughout the series, starting off as a helpless kid that was depending on others, but had great power hidden inside him that occasionally bursted out. These moments were really awesome and still give me goosebumps to this day. Later he completely controlled his strength and turned into the crowd favorite Teen Gohan. But then he dedicated his life to study and became more of an awkward nerd, to the displease of many fans, with a little badass moment here and there. While I do think Teen Gohan is cooler than adult Gohan, he did make a natural growth, not a strange 180 turn. It shows people change when they grow older, for the better or worse. I can't think of many characters that made such remarkable changes throughout the series. To honor how Gohan started off and to show his growth, I think the kid version of Gohan is a welcome addition to FighterZ. Number 8. Bergamo and the Trio de Dangers. Switching to more recent characters, the Trio de Dangers offered 3 great fights in Dragon Ball Super. Similar to the Universe 6 tournament, these were clever one-on-one fights that took their sweet time. I like their wolf-like designs that stand out compared to other characters in the series, as well as they all have unique moves, therefore I think they would offer interesting movesets in the game. You could say the same about Brienne and her team, but I personally think she's not that likable of a character, and the endless talks about love get really annoying after a while. Of the trio, I think Bergamo is the best pick, given he's the leader of the group. Similar to Android 18 or Captain Ginyu, he could summon the other fighters for certain special moves. In the Tournament of Power, we see so many characters, it's hard to give them all a memorable role. But by providing us with the fights with the Trio de Dangers beforehand, it gave some development, so I cared more about them when the actual tournament began. Not much development, I admit, but enough to make me interested in them and I want to see more. Who knows, maybe we see them again in the future of the series. Number 7. The Great SAIYAMAN. Alright, this is the last of the Gohans on the list. But I always thought the Great Saiyaman to be a fun addition to the Dragon Ball games he's already in. It's the silly side of adult Gohan, completely embraced in a Power Rangers parody. Whenever Gohan puts on the costume, he sets up a cheesy superhero act with cheesy superhero moves that are just a fun difference from the more serious and cool fighters we already have in the game. I think it would be very funny to either put him in an all-Gohan team or put him alongside Gotenks and Captain Ginyu for a silly pose team. Similar to Kid Gohan, I think this addition would be a good way to show the growth of the character, showing his different sides. With a couple of silly Justice-themed moves and some iconic poses, I wouldn't say no to the Great Saiyaman as a playable character.
Wait a sec. Did Gohan get his weird poses from watching these guys as a kid? I can't bear to think what Marin would do if she saw these guys.
Number 6. Super Android 13. I feel rather alone in saying this, but Super Android 13 was always one of my favorite villains from the Dragon Ball Z movies. Even though he shows up briefly and there isn't real depth to his character, he's incredibly intimidating when he's there. First of all, his transformation is awesome. This is an actual transformation where we slowly see his body change, limb for limb. Second, his design is awesome. He has such a unique, strange mix of colors. With his blue skin, yellow eyes, green pants, and orange hair, there's not a single character that even remotely resembles him. But this unusual mix of colors strangely works. Third, he's a giant, silent, slow brute. Unlike other villains that fly all over the place dealing tons of punches, Super Android 13 mostly casually stands still and knocks everyone out with single blows, while nobody is able to even make him flinch. However, for the love of God, don't give him that cringy redneck voice they gave him in the English dub.
Well, not that it's any of your business, city boy, but the good doctor met his end some time ago. We were created by Dr. Giro's computer.
He's supposed to be a silent, monster-like character. That's what makes him so intimidating. But in the English dub, they decided to give him a redneck voice and make him talk whenever you don't see his lips. I think this is an awful choice. If Super Android 13 were to make the roster, I hope they don't give him any lines. I would, however, gladly see him alongside the giant character Broly and punch Goku between his legs, just like in the movie. Number 5. Gogeta. With Vegito Blue already in the game, Gogeta sounds like a cool addition. With unique moves like his Stardust Breaker or even his Big Bang Kamehameha, he has some unique attacks to choose from. It's a shame this character isn't considered canon, because his appearance in the Fusion Reborn movie was awesome. Maybe someday in the far future we'll see a fusion dance between Super Saiyan Blue, Vegeta, and Goku. Until then, I'll hope for fighters to include this iconic character to use in an epic fusion battle. Number 4. KEFLA. There are barely any female fighters in the Dragon Ball series, and the female fighters that are there usually make a short appearance, or we don't even get to see them in action at all. Of all the female fighters, the ones I hope return the most are Kale and KEFLA. Both these characters have fun, distinct personalities that make them stand out. KEFLA being a cocky, extrovert fighter with an urge to be the best. Kale being an extremely shy introvert whose feelings are easily hurt. But when she goes berserk, she freaking goes berserk, almost like the Incredible Hulk. I don't think having them separate would be the best option, therefore their fusion seems to be the best pick. It combines the insane strength of Kale with the control and fighting abilities of KEFLA, making KEFLA the best of both worlds. I have no idea whether she'll return in this series or join the roster of fighters, but she definitely got my vote. Number 3. Super Buu. Majin Buu is the biggest threat in the Dragon Ball Z series and has a number of different forms. We got the Good Buu and Kid Buu in the game already, which I both greatly enjoy, but I would be very hyped to see Super Buu as well. Unlike Kid Buu, Super Buu seems a lot more intelligent, having a deep understanding of language and communication. He is fully aware of the horrors he commits and he enjoys every second of it. In terms of moves, his most iconic ability is Absorption. In previous Dragon Ball games, you could either pick his absorbed forms as standalone playable characters, or you could perform Absorption in the match and hope to get a good character, having pretty funny results. This Absorption could offer a really interesting and unique moveset, where it's a gamble whether you'll get something cool. Or maybe he'll do something like Kirby from Super Smash, where he will have the ability to absorb the opponent and copy the special move. That's probably too ambitious, but I'll never stop hoping. Number 2. Master Roshi. Master Roshi is a character with two sides to him. On the one hand, you have the pervy stereotype. This is a side I don't approve of. I never thought harassing women was something that's funny, not even when you clearly do it in an absurd way and don't show any emotional pain from the women. I mean, there's a scene where Roshi trains himself not to sexually assault any pretty ladies he sees. Man, that was just horrible to watch. Yet, despite all that, his other side makes up for that, because Master Roshi is also an experienced teacher, wise man, and a good fighter despite his old age. Master Roshi is a character that is present since the old days of Dragon Ball. The Golden Frieza arc and the Universe Survival arc, where we get to see some kick-ass action of him, shows that he's still relevant to this day. I thought he was going to get kicked out of the tournament first opponent he fought, but seeing how well he analyzed the opponents and held his ground against them was awesome. There even was a surprisingly touching moment where it looked like Roshi was about to die, saying some last words towards Goku and Krillin, reminding you of the importance of their bond. For his importance to the history of Dragon Ball, his awesome appearance in the Universe Survival Saga, Master Roshi has proven himself to be a valuable fighter. Before I get to the number 1, a quick list of characters I wouldn't mind seeing either. Janemba, Bojack, Tapion, King Piccolo, King Vegeta, and King Cold, Garlic Jr., Mr. Satan, Deborah, Jacko, Oob, Kaba, Toppo, and the last, the 2019 movie version of Brawly. With all that out of the way, let's get to the number 1. The character I want in fighters the most is JIREN. Dragon Ball always introduces new, stronger foes to push the heroes to new heights. It's a trope that's used constantly throughout the series, for a good reason. It keeps the story exciting, knowing there's always a new challenge on the horizon. The most recent powerful foe, who greatly surpasses anyone in terms of strength, is none other than JIREN. JIREN is so immensely powerful, he makes Beerus look like a warm-up fight. Goku reaching Ultra Instinct and the final battle with JIREN were some of the highlights in the Dragon Ball Super series. But what I really like about JIREN is the context in which Goku fights him. Unlike the majority of foes Goku fights, JIREN is not a villain with any bad intentions. JIREN is just a hero trying to protect his universe from getting erased. No matter whether Goku wins or loses, there will be terrible consequences to countless lives. Despite JIREN being in the way of the hero's goals, the only real reason to cheer for Goku is that we see the story from his point of view. If it were another series and JIREN was the main character, he would be the hero we would cheer for. He also has a tragic backstory with an unsolved mystery to it. Who is this being JIREN wants to take revenge on? Will he get his revenge? What was the motivation of this monster? I feel like there is something interesting hiding there that will return later in the series. Being the biggest face of the most recent arc, the strongest opponent yet, and having some mysteries to his arc that deserve more time devoted to it, JIREN is the number 1 character I hope to see in Dragon Ball FighterZ. So, which character do you hope to see the most? Let me know in the comments, and thanks for watching.
Okay, just gonna drop this one out there, but earlier nobody brought up Slug, and I feel that's kind of racist.